We have 3 more days until the new expansion comes, as well as the rotation, so in this video I will give you the best Hearthstone decks right now, so you know what to play until then. We will go over 5 of the best performing decks, and I will give you a detailed mulligan guide about it, their win rates, as well as some general tips for them. And we're also gonna check out all of the other working archetypes for each individual class, so stick around to the end. I'm happy to announce that Blizzard actually provided me with codes to give away, so I'll be doing a giveaway here on YouTube, as well as one on Twitter, so you might want to join on both. To join the YouTube giveaway, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment what's your favorite legendary from the new expansion. I will draw both the winners for the YouTube and Twitter giveaway on Tuesday live on stream. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is gonna be Evolve Shaman, and even though right now Blazing Evocation is nerfed, and you will be getting Gold Shark Gnolls if you try evolving that is something that's supposed to be fixed, but until then, right now the deck is actually not running Blazing Evocation, which sounds crazy, but it does actually have pretty good stats to back it up. The deck is pretty much the same as it was before the mini set came out, and you still have your locations, your Convincing Disguise, and your Primordial Wave is great ways to evolve your targets. We also have the Shadowhunter Vol'jin plus Neptulon combo, so you can do that super early. And we also have Tiny Toys, which you can evolve into random 7 drops with your Convincing Disguise. We're also running a couple of Wildpaw Caverns, a couple of Bloodlusts, and obviously also Brucon. Matchup-wise, here's what it looks like, and the only somewhat bad matchup here would be Thief Rogue, because they have plenty of removals. But same can be said for also Blood Death Knight, even though we're not seeing it here. You'd be happy to see that you're actually gonna be pretty good against things like Undead Priest and Big Spell Mage, so you're gonna have that going for you, which is nice. For the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first. Prescience is always great. Muckpool's not a bad keep, Schooling also is always gonna be MVP. You're definitely not keeping Neptulon, and you can see it's a very rare keep. Convincing Disguise is not bad. Farsight is an okay card to have, I guess you can also keep it in the mulligan. And also the Chisel's pretty good. Gold Shark Gnoll is not as good going first, but if you already have the Schooling, it's actually still amazing, so definitely worth the keep again. When going second, again, Fish and Gnoll are your best keeps in this case. Prescience still amazing. You can also consider keeping things like Shadowhunter Vol'jin, but be smart about how you set it up. Location is not bad, Chisel still okay, and even things like Wildpaw Caverns can make the cut here. For other good Shaman decks, we also have the variant with Sea Giants instead of the Vol'jin combo, so if you're missing that, you might give this one a go, but it does seem like Murloc Shaman is out of the equation nowadays. On the number 2 spot, we have Unholy Death Knight, which is still an amazing deck to be hitting Legend with, and even climb high after that too. The deck is pretty straightforward, and you basically want to be winning the board, and destroy your opponent with big dudes, especially comboed with Grave Strength. If that doesn't work out, you also have Lord Marogar for one final push, and you also have plenty of ways to discover stuff with your School Teacher, your Vizier, and let's not forget you also have the Astalor game plan, which can be pretty good on its own. For the matchups, we really don't have that much stats, but Undead Priest is still gonna be a good matchup for you, and also Thief Rogue. And for the mulligan, going first you want to be curving out with a good 1-drop like Body Bagger or your Arms Dealer. Turn 2 is amazing to have Battle Fiend Necromancer. Going first also Peasant is not horrible on turn 1. Plague Strike, you generally want to be keeping this when going second, but it's not the worst thing in the world when going first as well, I guess. The Hawkstride Rancher is a pretty good tempo card, and if you drop this on turn 3 on an empty board, it usually sticks. And you can also consider the Nerubium Swarmguard in that case as well. When going second, even things like Marogar become somewhat of a consideration, but as you can see, it's not something you generally want to be keeping too much. I guess if you have a perfect hand already, you can definitely be keeping a Marogar as well. Bodybagger and the Battlefiend Necromancer still MVP. Skeletal Sidekick can be pretty good as well. Again, your Hawkstrike Rancher with your Nerubium Swarmguard can be a good consideration. And also Blightfang going second can be pretty good as well. It's actually kind of weird we're not running the Egg plus Location package anymore, but instead we have Amalgams, which are generally not an amazing card, but this is what the stats showed as a best performer right now, so I guess we stick with that. On the number 3 spot, we also have Frost Aggro Death Knight, which is also an amazing way for you to be climbing the Legend with, and it's still a very solid deck. This one actually has room for Astalor as well, and in order to make room for that, we have one less Harbinger, as well as only one Might of Menethil, which is definitely feeling okay like this. I even saw a list that was cutting one School Teacher for Astalor instead, but I guess it's only a 1-card difference, so the results should be pretty similar. Other than that, the deck is basically straightforward Frost Death Knight, and you can check out all of my deck guides as well as gameplay sessions with it, so you have a better idea what to do with the deck. For the matchups, as you can see, it's all green, even though Quest Druid can definitely be a problem, especially if the Quest Druid is actually good. Control Priest is also not your best matchup, but against Shadow Priest it's gonna be a 50-50, as well as against Thaddeus Warlock. For the mulligan, going first you always want to have your Egg. Arms Dealer is also pretty nice. Bonebreaker is not the worst thing in the world, but try not to keep too many 1-drops. Harbinger is great, and also going first, Showfallen Baron is not bad, because on turn 3 you can't really coin out your location, so this is fine. The Syrian can also be a consideration, and location I'd still like to keep it, especially if I'm curving out into it. When on the coin, again, Egg and Weapon are your best bets. Arms Dealer, a bit more questionable. Ask yourself if it's actually gonna be worth playing this on turn 1, because you are gonna be second on the board. Harbinger is still great. Construct Quarter is a lot more keepable here, but as you can see, Showfallen Baron is a lot less keepable here, because on turn 3 you want to be dropping a 4-drop most of the time, so this would be your best bet. For other good Death Knight decks, we have different variants of Unholy and Frost Death Knight at the top, and we're gonna have to scroll a while to actually see Blood Death Knight as well, even though that's also pretty usable. But the stats are actually not super favored for it, so there's that. On the number 4 spot, we obviously still have Undead Priest, which is an excellent deck for you to be climbing to Legend with. And this variant is very 3-drop heavy, instead of running the 2-drop Mind Eater. Basically, the best performing deck for Shadow Priest is gravitating between this with the 3-drops and the one with the 2-drop Mind Eaters, but any variant you pick, you're gonna have a good time most of the time. We also have Najak in this one, and obviously Astalor, which can be a great game plan on its own, especially if you combo it with your Void Touch Attendants, and that's basically potentially 56 damage to the opponent's face on turn 10. Matchup-wise, the only bad matchup for this deck is going to be Aggro Mage, which is the reason why Aggro Mage is also decently popular right now. But as you can see, everything else is bright green. When going first, you're always going to want to keep your Void Touch Attendant, and Incorporal. If you have a good idea that you're going to be able to stick the Void Touch, you can also consider keeping the location. High Cultist, it's a little bit of a wishful thinking kind of deal, but if you manage to revive even a single Undead with this, it's huge tempo. The weapon is not horrible, especially against something like Warlocks or Paladins. Undying Ally is also huge. You would generally not want to be keeping Gravedigging though, and you only keep the Silence if you already have the 2-mana 5/5. When going second, however, Animate Dead becomes a lot more keepable as well. Whispers of the Deep, you might even keep it without the 5/5 because it can be insanely good if you find the 5. Weapon's still pretty decent. Location I wouldn't really be keeping when going second. High Cultist is still pretty good though. And your 3-drops are also MVP when going second, because you get the coin out one on turn 2. For other good priest decks, we have several variations of Undead, and we gotta scroll a while to start finding things like Control and Quest Priest, which are also doing okay. There's also Boom Priest with 50% win rate, and surely there's supposed to be a Svalna Priest somewhere in here, but I guess the stats are not too big for it nowadays. And the last deck on the list is gonna be the hard counter for Shadow Priest, which is Aggro Mage. Aggro Mage is definitely not the most simple of the decks out there right now, but it's definitely very solid. This variant is actually running a couple of Nerubian Viziers, which could help you discover things like 4-mana Deathborns, which can be insane, but the rest of the deck is straightforward, standard Aggro Mage. In order to have the Nerubian Viziers, we're not running the 4-mana freeze everything on the board Varden, but other than that, everything else is standard Aggro Mage, and you can check out my guide about it. For the matchups, I'm gonna use a little bit of a different list, so we have plenty more stats. And we can see that Death Knights can be iffy against you, as well as Dragon Paladin. Big Spell Mage is also not too hot. And also Enrage and Control Warrior might be a problem, as well as Control and Quest Priest. But like I said, this is gonna be amazing for you if you're facing a lot of Undead Shadow Priests, as well as Miracle Rogues. For the mulligan, when going first and second, Frostweave Dungeoneer is always gonna be great, as well as Shivering Sorceress. This deck is running Trogs instead of the Viziers, so ignore these, we're not keeping those. If you already have a Shivering Sorceress, you can also consider keeping things like Deathborn. Cold Case is also gonna be a great turn 3 play for you. Arcane Worm is not a bad turn 1. And Frozen Touch and Amplified Snowflurry can also be great. Going second, it's pretty much the same, but also things like the location become a lot more keepable, and you can even hold on to Egwin here. Commander Sivara is also not a bad keep in this case, because you get to copy the coin, as well as hopefully the 2-mana Frozen Touch as well. And you also get to copy it infused, so that can be huge. For other mage decks, we also have Big Spell Mage doing great. Ping Mage is also back on the block, because the hero got some support, but it's basically variations of those 3 decks, so take your choice. For the classes we didn't mention, starting off with Demon Hunter, Fel Quest Demon Hunter is actually probably the best performer in top 1000 Legend, or at least that's what the stats showed, and the variant with the quest, as well as the Sinful brand, is the best performer there. Spell Demon Hunter is also pretty amazing with and without the weapon, but Aggro Demon Hunter is not doing that hot right now. Druid is the other very good deck in top 1000 Legend, but that's due to the fact that players there actually know how to play it. So if you're up for it, you can also give a check for Quest Druid, and also Ram Druids seem to be doing well, even though there's not enough stats for it here. For Hunters, we have Beast Hunter doing okay, Quest Hunter is also doing alright. I actually expected it to be a lot better after the Dragonbane shot increase, but I guess it didn't help it that much. We also have Shockspitter still being decent, and that's about it. For Paladin, Pure Paladin is also an excellent choice, so you can definitely bring that instead. We also have Control Pure Paladins, but they're not doing as hot. With Rogues, there's this new Aggro Rogue, which is abusing things like Sinful Soulbrand, the new Jolly Roger, the Concoction Package, and also things like Scabs, Krabatoa, and Queen Ashara. But I haven't really seen this deck, and it also doesn't have that many games, so be careful with that one. Death Rattle Rogue is doing pretty good, Thief Rogue is also pretty popular in top 1000, and also Miracle Rogue is still pretty amazing, but you gotta be really good with it. With Warlocks, it's still Imp Warlock and Curse Warlock at the top, Phylactery Warlock is also still usable, and Thaddeus Warlock is under 50, so be careful there. And for Warrior, yet again, we have no decks to show. Shocking! So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the last few days of the Year of the Hydra. Don't forget to enter the giveaway, and if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.